بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآل الطيبين الطاهرين
اللهم صل على محمد.
The last negational attribute of God the Almighty is that He is not needy. So although it starts with an kind of affirmative sentence, but the way Allama Hildi defines it is based on negating need. السابعة أنه تعالى غني. God is rich. So you might say this is not صفة سلبية. But he explains ليس بمحتاج. So the main thing is that God has no need. لأن وجوب وجوده دون غيره. Because the fact that it's only God who is necessary being, nothing else, implies that he would not need anyone other than himself. It doesn't need any other being, because other beings are all contingent beings and they rely on him. So it doesn't make sense to say that God depends on them, God needs them. لأن وجوب وجوده دون غيره. Because the necessity of his existence and not anything other than him means nothing else is wajib. The fact that he is the only necessary being يقتضي implies or requires استغناءه عنه, requires God having no need for others. استغناءه means استغناء Allah واجب الوجود, عنه means غير, عنه means غير. So God does not need any غير, any other. وافتقار يقتضي افتقار, the need of غيره إليه, the one which is other than God. They all need God. God does not need them, but they need God. يا أيها الناس أنتم الفقراء إلى الله والله هو الغني الحميد. O people, you are all dependent and needy, and God is rich and praised. But it is not only people, every creature other than God is needy. Okay, this is the main text. Now we go to the commentary. أقول من صفاته السلبية كونه ليس بمحتاج إلى غيره مطلقا. One of the negational qualities is that God does not need anything other than himself. غيره means those other than him. مطلقا means none of them, in no way. Whether it be for his essence, whether it be for his sifat, attributes, or as some people said, whether it be for his actions, in no way he needs them. ليس بمحتاج إلى غيره مطلقا. He is not in need of others in any way, whether it be in his essence, في ذاته, ولا في صفاته, nor in his attributes, or even in his actions. In no aspect he needs others. Then there are few arguments. وذلك لأن وجوب الوجود الثابت له يقتضي استغناءه مطلقا عن مجموع ما عداه. Because necessity of his existence, which is sabit, which is established quality for it, that he is wajib al-wujud. This requires istighna. Istighna means not to have need, to be rich. Requires him having no need at all with respect to anything other than himself. Majmu' ma ada. All the world, all the universe are created by God. God does not need them because he is wajib al-wujud and everything else depends on wajib al-wujud. He does not need them, they need him. So, wujub, wujud, the necessity of being, requires that he is free. He doesn't need any of things that are there other than him. فَلَوْ كَانَ مُحْتَاجًا. Had he been needy, لَزَمَ افْتِقَارُهُ. He would have become poor. Of course, some people have said there was no need to say if he was muhtaj, he was muftaqir, and then he was mumkin. You could say if he was muhtaj, he was mumkin, because muhtaj and muftaqir are not that much different. Okay? Maybe the late Fazil Miqdad had some idea in his mind, we don't know. But even in Allama's text, there was no distinction between ihtiyaj and iftiqar. Anyway, if God was needy, he was poor, and then he was contingent. Ta'ala Allahu an. God should be glorified. He is greater than being in need. بل الباري جلت عظمته مستغن عن مجموع ما عداه. God, may he be glorified, has no need with respect to anything other than himself. وَالْكُلُّ رَشْحَةٌ مِّن رَشَحَاتِ وُجُودِهِ وَذَرَّةٌ مِّن ذَرَّاتِ فَيْضِ جُودِهِ. Everything else is just coming from God. It's like reflection of existence of God. It's like a particle which comes from his grace. Everything comes from God. So how can God need others? Okay? So this is one argument, which is the same argument in the text. Maybe you can use also other arguments that, for example, wajibul wujub al-zat, wajibun min jami' al-jahad, wajibul wujub al-zat has no limit, no boundaries. You can use different things. But the main thing is here, that he does not need anything other than himself, because anything other than himself is created by him, and they depend on him, and they have nothing except it comes from him. To say that he needs them is a vicious circle, and also to say that he is needy, even if it is for something else, again, doesn't fit into his necessity of existence. The next chapter. This chapter is about adl, justice, which is mostly divine justice, but although You know that in Shia Islam, divine justice is very much also connected to social justice. The famous question of husn qub, goodness and badness, whether they are intrinsic or not, whether they are religious or intellectual, all are discussed in this chapter. A very good chapter. As you know, all Muslims believe that God is just, but they have different interpretations of what is meant by justice. In Aqaid, we discussed this before. Ash'arites have adopted a kind of divine command theory in which goodness and badness, justice and injustice, all are defined by God. As if there is no reality, there is no objective criteria or standards. Whatever God says, it's good. Whatever God does is good. Not that God does good things. We say God does good things because God observes, not by force. From his own essence, he does good things. He observes real good things. He doesn't do anything arbitrarily. But they say no. God could have, for example, acted differently, or could have asked us differently. For example, God could have asked us to tell lies, not to give back the trust of people. But he didn't ask like that. He asked opposite. But for Ash'arite, there is no difference between these two in reality. But we say no. Like we Shia and Mu'tazilite, we say no. There are real issues here. There is a difference between virtue and a vice. And God is observing that. Not as a matter of God becoming inferior or God becoming affected by them. No, because his essence is completely good and he is perfect. Only perfect things match him. Not that he does things which are neutral and then we say, oh, very good. He is very good God because he does these things which are by themselves neutral. So, الفصل الرابع في العدل. The first the fourth chapter is about justice, and the first question here is العقل قاض بالضرورة أن من الأفعال ما هو حسن كرد الوديعة والإحسان والصدق النافع وبعضها ما هو قبيح كالظلم والكذب الضار or والكذب الضار. كذب or كذب. Some say كذب is better. Intellect, قاضٍ means يحكم, judges. So this is the judgment of aql. بالضرورة, necessarily or self-evidently. So this is one of the self-evident judgments of aql, that some of the actions are good. من الأفعال ما هو حسن, some of the actions are hasan, good. Like رد الوديعة, delivering back the trust. If someone has entrusted you with something, you should give it back. رد الوديعة. والإحسان, to do good to people. Okay? والصدق النافع, beneficial telling truth. Because telling truth is good unless it can cause a considerable harm. We don't have this principle that telling truth is always good. Sometimes telling truth can damage relations between people, can damage life of people, yeah? For example, sometimes two friends, if they know what the other person has said about them, they may stop talking to each other. So you shouldn't say, I want to tell the truth. You don't have right to tell the truth. Say, for example, your friend, said this about you. Or sometimes, for example, a person may have lost her child, in an accident just a few minutes ago. You shouldn't go and tell the truth. Maybe you need to keep it for some time, or find a way to gradually prepare if that person is going to be hurt a lot. Of course, everything has rules and regulation. What is the greater thing for which you don't tell the truth, or you just keep silent, or say something else, or do tawriya? These are lots of technical things. But in principle, we don't have this idea that always telling the truth is good. Therefore, we say as-sidqu dhar, as-sidqu nafi'. If telling the truth is harmful, it can sometimes be morally bad. If it is good, it can be morally good. In any case, when it comes to telling the truth which is beneficial, there is no doubt. Telling the truth which is harmful, maybe there is doubt. But telling truth which is beneficial, there is no doubt. Is there anyone who says telling truth which is useful is bad? Or says, I don't know? No. It's like honesty, it's like kindness. وَبَعْضُهَا مَا هُوَ قَبِيحٌ. Some of the actions are qabih, morally bad, vicious. كَالظُّلْمِ وَالْكِذْبِ الضَّارِ. Like injustice and harmful lying. Harmful lying, everyone says is bad. If by lying you can do something good, like helping people to reconcile, okay, we may say this is good, but some people may disagree. But no one disagrees that harmful lying is bad. بِالضَّرُورَةِ. This is self-evidently known. Is it clear? So, we have cases that all rational people judge the same way. وَلِهَذَا حَكَمَ بِهِمَا مَنْ نَفَى الشَّرَائِعَ. Even those people who have rejected religions or divine religions or divine codes of law, they accept these judgments. كَالْمَلَاحِدَةِ. Malahida is the plural for mulhid. Atheists. Atheists, they don't believe in God or Sharia, but they also accept that trustworthiness is good, telling beneficial truth is good, kindness is good, telling harmful lie is bad. وَحُكَمَاءِ الْحِنْدِ. Some of the philosophers of India who were not following any divine religions, they also shared the same idea. Maybe, for example, like Buddha or other. So, this is one point, one argument. The second argument is, if we don't accept that our intellect can understand moral goodness and badness, we cannot prove it even with the help of religion. Ashar thought that we don't need aql, we learn it from religion. But we say, if you don't learn it from intellect, you cannot learn it from religion as well. Why? Because the whole truth of religion depends on saying that aql can verify what is morally good and what is morally bad. How? We will explain later, but just as a preparation. Imagine if someone says, we cannot understand what is good and what is bad, and we only take it from religion. Okay. Now a person has come and claims to be prophet. And he has mu'jiza. How can you verify that this is from God and you have to follow this religion? You say this is mu'jiza, cannot be done by anyone other than God. You say, okay, this is mu'jiza. But why God doesn't give mu'jiza, miraculous power, to a liar? You have to say this rationally is not acceptable. Wajibul wujud would not deceive. But if you say the Quran says that God does not, deceive, then we say we have not yet proved that this is from God. So there are certain issues that you have to accept by your aql about God that can help you to come to religion. When you come to religion, that's easier. But in the first place, to accept religion, to believe in religion, you need certain moral judgments of aql. وَلَأَنَّهُمَا لَوْ عَقْلًا لَانْتَفَيَا سَمْعًا. If husn and qubh, goodness and badness, are denied intellectually, you don't believe that there is intellectual or rational goodness and badness, you have also denied religious goodness and badness. لأنهما لو انتفيا عقلا لانتفيا سمعا. Sam'an means religiously. Why? Because then the badness of lying by legislator, by shari', by God or the Prophet cannot be established. It will be negated. Some people say, no, it's not bad. So you have to say that even if you don't have religion, you accept that God is not going to deceive, because God is wajibul wujud. Okay, this is the main text. Now let's go to the commentary. قال الفصل الرابع في العدل. The fourth chapter is about justice. أقول لما فرغ من مباحث التوحيد شرع في مباحث العدل. When the late Allama Hilli finished discussions about unity of God and attributes of God, Tawheed and what relates Tawheed, now we move on to the discussion about divine justice. وَالْمُرَادُ بِالْعَدْلِ. What is meant by justice here is هو تنزيه الباري تعالى عن فعل القبيح والإخلال بالواجب. You glorify God with respect to doing ugly actions or failing to do what is necessary. فعل القبيح means doing what is immoral, what is ugly, what is bad. إخلال بالواجب means to fail to do what is necessary. Okay? ولما توقف ذلك على معرفة الحسن والقبح العقليين قدم البحث عنه. And because this discussion depends on knowing, on accepting, on acknowledging rational goodness and badness, the late Allama Hilli brought this discussion earlier. قدم البحث عنه. So he brought the discussion of husn qubh aqli earlier. We have to first settle this debate, and then we continue about divine justice. So this is the root and foundation. Are goodness and badness objective or not? And if they are objective, you can say then we can understand them by our own aql. If they are not objective, you cannot understand them by your own aql. وَاعْلَمْ أَنَّ الْفِعْلَ ضَرُورِيُّ التَّصَوُّرِ. Fi'l, action, is something that is self-evident. You can easily understand, and you don't need any argument, any proof, any definition. You can understand what is fi'l. But sometimes you have an action without any other additional quality or status. In other words, some actions are not morally significant. Some actions do not have morally any value. They are neutral. Yeah? إما أن يكون له وصف زائد على حدوثه أو لا. Actions, either they have a quality additional to their existence or not. So are they morally relevant, significant or not? If they are not coming with any other quality, with any other additional, attribute, it means that morally they have no value. It's like harakat as-sahi wan-na'im. Someone who is sahi. Sahi comes from sahv, sajdi sahv. If someone is heedless, without intention, without attention, without deliberate thinking, something happens. This has no moral value. Yeah? Or if someone is sleeping, and when he's sleeping he says something or he does something, morally there is no responsibility here. It has no additional value. Good or bad. I am not talking about good value. It doesn't have even bad value. Yeah? You cannot blame someone for something that he didn't mean it, and he didn't want it, and he didn't know about it. He was just sleeping. Okay? If it has additional quality, وَالثَّانِي وَهُوَ الَّذِي لَا يَنْفُرُ الْعَقْلُ مِنْهُ, the one that aql would not go away from it, إِمَّا أَنْ يَتَسَاوَى فِعْلُهُ وَتَرْكُهُ, something that aql keeps thinking about it and judging about it. Sometimes doing it and not doing it are the same. فعله وتركه متساوي. We call this mubah. فهو المباح. Doing or not doing is the same. Or لا يتساوى. Doing and not doing are not the same. Okay. When doing and not doing are not the same, then sometimes doing is better, sometimes not doing is better. When doing is better, sometimes you have to do it, sometimes it's better to do it, but even if you don't do it, it's possible. And if not doing is better, sometimes you have not to do it, or it's better not to do it. It's all, those ahkam khamsa that we have in fiqh. Also it comes in akhlaq. أو لا يتساوى means doing and not doing are not the same. فإن ترجح تركه, if not doing is preferred. ترجح means what? Which means this is preferred, means this has preference. If not doing is better, فهو إما مع المنع من النقيض. We say it's better not to do it, and you must not do it. It's haram. Sometimes we say it's better not to do it, but we don't prohibit doing it. It's makruh. We say you should not do it, but we say, don't say if you do it it's haram. This is makruh. وَإِلَّا فَهُوَ الْمَكْرُوهُ means there is no man min al-naqid. وَإِن تَرَجَّحَ فِعْلُ, if doing is better, إِمَّا مَعَ الْمَنْعِ مِنْ تَرْكِهِ, we say, this is good to do and you must do it. You cannot stop doing it. This is wajib. If you say it's better to do, but even if you don't do it, it's fine, then it is mustahab, huwa al-mandub. Okay, now that you understood these different possibilities, let us also tell you what meaning of host and qub is important in our discussion. Because host and qub can be used in three senses. In theological instructions, I gave you these three types. Host and qub, goodness and badness, can be used in one of the three ways. Two of them are not controversial. Even Ash'arites accept that they are aqli. Only the third one is controversial between Ash'arites on the one hand and Mu'tazilites and the Shiites on the other. The first meaning, husn in the sense of kamal, goodness, perfection, and qub in the sense of deficiency, imperfection. For example, is this knife good or bad? In the sense of, is it sharp that can cut? Because you want a knife for cutting. If a knife can do the job, we say it's hasan. Otherwise, you say it's not hasan. In this sense, Ash'arites have no problem that you don't need to go to religion. Yeah, even if you are not religious, you can understand this. The second meaning, husn, in the sense of being pleasant, something that by your nature you like it, or qabi, something you don't like it. You know, some of the things you see, it's ugly. Some of the things are beautiful. Some of the fragrances are good. Some of fragrances are bad. Taste. So again, this is not what is controversial between Asha'ira and Mu'tazilas. The third meaning is the main debate. Husn meaning what is praiseworthy, what is morally good, therefore it deserves to be praised. Qub in the sense of what is blameworthy, what is morally bad, and the one who does it deserves to be blamed. This is something that there is disagreement, and Ash'arites say we cannot accept this unless it comes from religion, and without religion and prior to religion, there is no such a thing as goodness or badness in the sense of what is blameworthy or praiseworthy. Okay? So, إذا تقرر هذا فاعلم أن الحسن والقبح يقالان على ثلاثة معان. If this is established, be aware that husn and qubh are used in three meanings, three senses. الأول كون الشيء صفة كمال. Something is a quality of perfection, quality of goodness. العلم حسن. This is not controversial because everyone accepts that ilm is a matter of perfection. الجهل قبيح. Ignorance is bad. Or as I said, this knife is sharp. Goodness of sharpness for the knife. This car is comfortable. So it is good. This is not controversial. Goodness in the sense of being comfortable, being efficient, being effective, it's not a problem. الثاني كون الشيء ملائما للطبع أو منافيا. Something is pleasant, you like it by your nature, or you don't like it. المستلذات, what you enjoy, what gives you pleasure. A good scenery, a delicious food, a good smell. These are hasan. Again, no debate, no controversy here. Or munafiyan kal alam, like pains. Okay? Something is painful, you don't need to learn it from religion. الثالث كون الحسن ما يستحق على فعله المدح عاجلا or ما يستحق. If you say يستحق means يستحق الفاعل. If you say يستحق is passive. Hasan in the sense that something that when someone does it, he deserves to be praised now and to be rewarded future. Ajil with Hamza means near future. Ajil with Ain means near future, with Hamza means far. Ala fi'li al-mat ajilan, now. Ajal means now, near future. Ajilan, thawab means reward in future. والقبيح ما يستحق على فعله الذم عاجلا والعقاب عاجلا. Quickly you will be blamed if you do something which is immoral, and you will be deserving punishment in future. Of course you deserve punishment, maybe you will be forgiven by God, but يستحق. لا خلاف في كونهما عقليين بالاعتبارين الأولين. There is no difference of opinion, no disagreement about host and qob being rational in the first two senses. وأما بالاعتبار الثالث فاختلف المتكلم. But in the third consideration, third sense, theologians have disagreed. فقالت الأشاعرة ليس في العقل ما يدل على الحسن والقبح بهذا المعنى. Asharites have said that there is nothing in aql, nothing in intellect that indicate that host and qob in this sense are understood. Nothing to indicate host and qob in this sense. Aql has no say, no judgment about goodness and bad sense, goodness and badness in this sense. Bal الشرع, it's only shar, only religion. فما حسنه, whatever Shar said it is good, ما حسنه الشرع فهو حسن. Whatever religion says it's good, it's good. Whatever religion says it's bad, it's bad. They made the question very simple. No need to, think about anything. Just when religion is something is good, it's good. Why religion says something is good? No reason. For Ashar, there is no reason. وقالت المعتزلة والإمامية في العقل ما يدل على ذلك. Mu'tazilites and the Shiites, Imamiyya and Shiites, they say in intellect there is a reason, there is an argument, there is something that indicates what is good, what is bad. فالحسن حسن في نفسه. Something which is morally good is good in itself. وَالْغَبِيهُ غَبِيهٌ فِي نَفْسِهِ. And what is immoral is immoral in itself. سَوَاءٌ حَكَمَ الشَّارِعُ بِذَلِكَ أَوْ لَا. Whether legislator, lawmaker has said the same thing, has made a judgment like that or not. وَنَبَّهُ عَلَى ذَلِكَ بِوُجُوهٍ. He says وَنَبَّهُ, doesn't say وَاسْتَدَلُّ. Do you know why? Why he says نَبَّهُ? What is نَبَّهُ? نَبَّهُ comes from tanbih. Means to warn, to make aware, not by teaching something new. Because he wants to say this is badihi. For badihi you don't need istidlal, you don't need reasoning. You need just to do tanbih, just to give a kind of awakening, a kind of warning. Nabbahu. Okay? So these arguments are just to remind you of your fitrat and your own conscience. In your own conscience, you understand the difference between moral goodness and badness, between justice and injustice, honesty and dishonesty. Okay, we stop here, and inshallah we will go through these points for proving the position of those who believe that goodness and badness are real and objective and therefore can be understood rationally in the next session. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين.